My name's Andrea, and I'm 31 years old. People in our town used to call my parents angels. Every Sunday morning, they sat in the very first row of church, dressed perfectly, smiling warmly, shaking hands, donating generously, and offering prayers so loud and emotional that people sometimes cried just listening to them. They were the kind of people everyone trusted, the kind neighbors bragged about knowing, the kind pastors praised from the pulpit. But I learned something the night they turned my 10-year-old daughter away from their house. And that night changed everything I believed about family. It was Christmas Eve. My daughter, Lily, had been excited for weeks. She loved Christmas more than any child I had ever seen. She believed it was a magical time when people showed their love through small acts of kindness. That morning, she woke up before sunrise and quietly sat on the living room floor wrapping presents. She had used her allowance and saved birthday money to buy gifts for my parents. She picked a soft wool scarf for my mother because she said Grandma always complained about being cold. She bought my father a funny coffee mug with a cartoon reindeer because she thought it would make him laugh. She wrapped each gift carefully, pressing the tape flat with her tiny fingers, humming Christmas songs under her breath. She kept asking me, "Mom, do you think they'll like them?" And I kept saying yes, because I wanted to believe it too. That evening, we drove to my parents' house. Their home was glowing with Christmas lights. Music drifted through the windows, and I could see silhouettes of guests moving around inside. It looked warm, festive, and full of laughter. Lily jumped out of the car before I even parked properly. She ran toward the door, balancing the gift bags carefully in both hands. I stayed behind for a moment, grabbing my phone and purse, smiling as I watched her. I remember thinking how proud I was of her kindness and generosity. Then she rang the doorbell. The door opened slightly. My mother stood there. Her face was stiff, controlled, almost annoyed. I couldn't hear their first exchange, but I saw Lily's bright smile slowly fade. I saw her shoulders tighten. I saw her grip the gift bags a little harder. Then my mother said something, and she closed the door. Not violently, not dramatically, just firmly, quietly, like Lily had never belonged there in the first place. By the time I reached the steps, Lily was already walking back toward the driveway. She wasn't crying. That somehow hurt more. She looked up at me with this calm, wounded expression and said softly, "It's okay, Mom. They're busy tonight." I knocked on the door. I rang the bell repeatedly. I called out their names. Inside, I could still hear Christmas music and laughter, but no one answered. The drive home was silent. I kept my hands tight on the steering wheel because I was terrified if I spoke, I would completely fall apart. When we reached our house, it was dark and undecorated. We had planned to decorate after visiting them. Lily placed the gifts gently beside our front door, as if she was still hoping someone would come to claim them. Then she asked quietly, "Mom, can we still turn on Christmas lights even if we don't have a tree?" That was the moment something inside me broke. I wrapped her in a blanket, sat beside her on the couch, and promised her that none of this was her fault, that sometimes adults fail children, not because children are unworthy, but because adults forget how to love properly. She fell asleep holding the scarf she had meant to give my mother. Later that night, my phone started buzzing. Relatives were texting, asking why we didn't come to the church dinner my parents were hosting. They were posting photos online, showing my parents laughing, hugging guests, and handing out gifts to other children in the community. The same people who turned my child away were being praised for their generosity. I stared at those pictures for a long time, and something inside me shifted from heartbreak to clarity. The next morning, I called our church pastor privately, not to create drama, not to seek revenge, just to tell the truth. I explained exactly what had happened. I showed messages, timestamps, and even security footage from my neighbor's camera that showed Lily standing alone at the door holding her gifts. The pastor was silent for a long time. Then he said something I will never forget. Kindness performed in public means nothing if cruelty is practiced in private. Within weeks, the truth spread quietly through the church community. not through gossip, but through uncomfortable conversations, through people asking questions, through members realizing that reputation isn't the same as character. My parents called me repeatedly, furious, demanding to know why people were suddenly distant. They asked to speak to Lily. They said they wanted to explain, but I refused because apologies given to protect reputations are not real apologies. That year, Lily and I created our own Christmas tradition. We decorated our small house with handmade ornaments. We invited friends, neighbors, and anyone who didn't have family nearby. Our home was louder, messier, and far less perfect than my parents' house, but it was filled with real laughter. That night, Lily looked at me and said, "Mom, I think Christmas is supposed to feel like this." I never forced reconciliation with my parents. Some distances protect hearts better than forgiveness without change. And today, Lily is older, stronger, kinder than anyone I know. She still believes in Christmas magic, but now she understands something deeper. Love isn't measured by public prayers, perfect smiles, or generous donations. Love is measured by whether you open the door when a child is standing outside in the cold. If this story touched your heart, remember this. Children never forget how adults make them feel, and sometimes the smallest act of kindness can heal wounds the world never sees. And sometimes closing one door reveals exactly which ones deserve to stay open forever.